Independent thought, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
Chief Justice Roberts gavels open the Senate trial of President Trump at midday. Democratic Senator Chuck Schumer is braced for a fight over the rules Republican leader Mitch McConnell laid out that call for 12-hour sessions and a delayed vote on witnesses.
That isn't a trial at all. It's a cover-up.
A speedy trial is what President Trump wants.
It's the witch hunt that's been going on for years.
His legal team has urged swift rejection of the charges, but Democrats accused Republicans of trying to hide the president's misconduct in the dead of night.
Yeah, so it starts today, and I'm going to be honest with you guys. You think about this, right? Like, we joke about it and we have fun with this stuff. I'm not going to cover it from gavel to gavel because the stuff that needs to be covered will be, right? A lot of what's going to take place over the next 72 hours is going to be minutia. It's going to be just little things here and there. But the big thing is about the witnesses. That's what people want to see, the witnesses. And here's the other thing. If we're going to get to the point where there's going to be witnesses and certain things, people are going to want depositions. Those depositions, like in 1999, we're probably going to have to do behind closed doors. So we may not even see any of that. And both sides want it to be public. If it's going to be out there, it's to be public. But the Republicans are going to want to be able to have their own witnesses. They're going to want to be able to bring people up and ask questions that may embarrass them. Adam Schiff was talking yesterday. They got them all in this big roundtable thing, asking everybody who's going to be participating and delivering this message and their side of the case to the Senate about things like witnesses.
Let me ask you about the question of witnesses. Presumably you would want to call John Bolton, but are you prepared then for who the Republicans want to call as witnesses? Would that be fair?
It would certainly be fair for the president and his team to be able to call witnesses that can provide material information on the charges. It would not be appropriate for the president to seek to call witnesses merely to try to perpetuate the same smear campaign that was foiled when his plot was discovered.
Yeah, and so what does that mean? Well, they're going to want to call people up that's going to make it's very uncomfortable, in particular for some of the people running for president and the person at the head of the line, at least at this moment in time, when it comes to who's the leader in the clubhouse, even though it's still early, and that's Joe Biden and his son, Hunter.
Hunter Biden, for example, can't tell us anything about whether the president withheld military aid, whether he withheld that aid to coerce Ukraine to conduct political investigations, or why he wouldn't meet with the president of Ukraine. The only purpose in putting him on their list is they wish to trade material witnesses like Mr. Bolton and Mulvaney and others for immaterial ones that will allow them to continue to attack a political opponent. That's an illegitimate abuse of the trial, and the Chief Justice, who may have an opportunity to rule on materiality of witnesses, as well as the senators, should not permit that kind of abuse.
So you got to think about that for a second, because they're going to want reciprocity. You want, we're going to ask. You want, we're going to ask. We're going to, and remember, who's running it? They call him Midnight Mitch. All you want to call him.
Let's look at the big picture, which is this is the most important moment for the Republican Party since the censure of Joe McCarthy and the impeachment and resignation of Richard Nixon, in which Republicans became great heroes and patriots. Now we're looking at Midnight Mitch and the so-called world's greatest deliberative body really embracing a cover-up that is there for all to see.
What's the cover-up? Here's the thing. To have a cover-up in the way that they would like to show the world, look what the Republicans are doing, you would have to have the base want all of them to expose all of this. The base doesn't care. That's just the base doesn't care. The average person doesn't care about this. They don't care about the Ukraine. They don't care about any of this stuff. They don't care about any of this. They don't. They think it's a waste of time. It's an overreach. And because of what took place with Russia at this point in time, you've got to understand there's some people out there that really don't buy into all of it because they see the political side of it to the point where they've seen it so much. The crying of wolf over and over again, right? The boy who cried wolf. Well, eventually the wolf came along, but nobody paid attention. Why? Because you've done it so many times. And that's the problem. If the base really cared, this would be a different thing. And they were trying to do it in the middle of the night. But the fact is everybody on the left wanted Trump gone from the day he won. Didn't want him to be president, wanted him gone, didn't care how he was gone. Everybody in the right, by and large, you go look at the numbers, they're sticking with Trump. This has nothing to do with whether anything was right or wrong at this point in time. This is an act of will against one another. They're going to battle it out, right? My base versus your base. You think he's dirty and evil. We say you guys are dirty and evil. You're politicians. You're just as bad. So we don't care. And we don't care about the Ukraine. And they still got their money. So you can call him Midnight Mitch trying to cover something up. But to cover something up, people actually have to care. You're not changing anybody's mind. You can bring John Bolton there. Zelensky, the president of Ukraine, you can bring him there. You're not going to get what you want out of it. And that's the frustrating things that the Democrats have. They're saying, look at all of this stuff. The problem is you guys have been saying this since the day he was elected, since the day he was inaugurated, and you've continued to do this. And after a while, you're just that broken record and nobody cares anymore. And that, you can't overcome that. They don't trust you. I always laugh when they go on there and say, well, hey, they have Trump's approval rating and his favorability rating is, it's only at like 12% or 14%. Oh, and they all laugh, but they don't realize that Congress is even worse, right? It's the base. Well, we care about the truth. Anymore, the truth is the truth, how people see it. And if you're trying to convince somebody that this is the truth and you're showing them all these things, but you've tried to convince them that this happened before and it's failed, after a while, they're going to start just saying, hey, no, you guys have failed. This is what it really is. And you're not telling the whole story. And the other side's, well, you're not telling the whole story. Sorry. Call him Midnight Mitch. He could do it at 3 a.m. People will pay attention, but their minds aren't going to be swayed because they're already in a situation in their mind that they have put there that this is what it is. The other side's making it up, and you're not going to sway them. You're just not. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at me as well. Just text the program and check out the Instagram as well. Trump not here today, actually in Davos, which is in Switzerland, getting together as the muckety mucks do, talk about all kinds of stuff, talk about how great America is.
When I spoke at this forum 2 years ago, I told you that we had launched the great American comeback. Today, I'm proud to declare that the United States is in the midst of an economic boom, the likes of which the world has never seen before.
So he's very excited about that. He's over there talking about, hey, we should all work together, but we don't want to be globalist, but we should all work together. Talked about, the stuff that you talk about. Look at the great deal we got done with Mexico and Canada. There's stuff that we can do over here with you guys. And at the same time, he's got to address other things that are going on at home.
I think it's very important. The other's just a hoax. It's the witch hunt that's been going on for years. And it's disgraceful.
We know what we're talking about, right? Impeachment. And then he's sharing the top bill, as they would say, right? Like, this is who's sitting number one. It's him and Miss Greta.
The climate and environment is a hot topic right now, and a lot thanks to young people pushing. But of course, if you see it from another perspective, pretty much nothing has been done.
No, nothing has been done. That's just it. Nothing has been done. Right? Here's the thing when you have countries care about their own interest, right? Like, everybody wants a great, beautiful world, but to what extent, right? It's like we talk about here that when you go and you look at the numbers of what people are willing to sacrifice or what people are willing to pay for a fix towards global warming, then you find out once you have to pony up that people are like, well, I'm willing to pay, like $100 a year, right? And that's the problem. Like, everybody is willing to sacrifice-ish, but they expect somebody else to sacrifice a little bit more. And people look at America as the leader in the economy, and we've got to decide who's going to control the economy in the coming years and decades. Is it going to be us or China? But do you think the Chinese are going to follow through with any of these things? Or do you think they care what Greta Thunberg thinks? No, they don't. Right? Emerging countries in Africa, do you think they care? No. They want to feed their people. They want an economy that's strong. They don't want instability and unrest. They don't want any of that. So there's a lot that goes into it. Again, we're all for it, except for the part where we have to find out who pays for it. And then how do we take that money? What do we do with it? How is it going to be used or not used? Who benefits it? How politically this game is played. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Super Beats, I'm up early, stay up late. That's what I do. 16, 18 hours a day. That's my life. I like convenience. That's what Super Beats gives me with their brand new soft juice. Incredible. Their new ingredient is grapeseed extract from Loire Valley in France. It's been clinically shown to support healthy blood pressure levels. And I'm telling you guys, when you need a burst of energy, when you're sitting there thinking, I'm going to go work out, I need a little something, this is where Beats comes in with the nitrates and everything. It's amazing. It really is. It is. The amount of beets you'd have to eat, though, to get that kind of benefit, you have to worry with Super Beets and the soft juice. Again, super convenient, tastes great, supports normal blood pressure, circulation, and natural energy in your body. And here's the great thing. Right now, you buy 2 bags, you get a 3rd bag for free. Simple and easy. You go to superbeatsradio.com/Chad. Again, buy 2 bags, get a 3rd one free. Superbeatsradio.com/Chad. Superbeatsradio.com/Chad. Chad Benson Show.
No fake outrage here, just the real thing. The Chad Benson Show.
Senior state official estimating 22,000 people converged on the capital of Richmond, many of them armed outside temporary gates with long rifles and tactical gear in protest of new proposed gun control legislation.
It's just great to see the camaraderie and the diversity of people that are coming out.
Officials and law enforcement in the state on high alert, carefully screening each person in attendance, worried about a credible threat of potential violence from hate groups joining the protest.
Yeah, and there wasn't. One person was arrested because they had a mask on and they wouldn't take it off. One person. It was peaceful. People were out there doing their things, right? And it was diverse. And if you look at the crowd, right, there were blacks, there were Hispanics, there were Asians, there were white people, there were men, there were women, there were people out there with their guns saying, you know what? Look at us, 20,000 of us out here. Many of us carrying guns right now. Nothing happened. Nothing happened. And you've got to be wary of the potential, because what ends up happening, again, you put 20,000 people anywhere, there is a good chance that there's a few yahoos inside the crowd, right? That are ready for something. There was no counter protest. That's always a good thing too. You want to be able to protest, but the counter protest, they say, wasn't going to be that big, and they canceled the event altogether. So it went off without a hitch, right? And a lot of times what happens is, in many of these cases, people show up to protest or to celebrate something, right? And then other groups on both sides who really aren't interested in anything other than causing havoc show up. And they're the ones who really have nothing to do with a movement or anything against another movement, but like the fact that they can cause chaos, show up, and they argue, and that's when hell breaks loose. Didn't happen this time. And that was a good thing. That was a real, just quiet 20,000. The worrisome that, you know, white nationalists were going to show up and start killing everybody, and they arrested several people days leading up to it, and all of this stuff. The facts, this is what it is. People, they got through it. Everything good. We'll see what happens in Virginia when it comes to guns. But as I said yesterday, certain states are going in a certain direction. Other states are going in another direction. The beauty of states' rights is it's kind of their own little fiefdoms, right? That's what we want. The federal government and the states. And the federal government will handle certain things, and the states will handle other things in the way that they run their state. And that's a good thing. So some states, California, Virginia now, Illinois, New York, they run things a much different way than places like Arizona and Texas and several other when it comes to guns and certain things like that. Same thing goes for a woman's right to choose and what they're trying to do. It's other states have a totally different way of looking at things. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at me. Love hearing from all of you. Again, today is the day when it comes to the impeachment, and how the impeachment's going to break down. Again, it's just today's going to be mostly about the rules, right? What's this look like that? What's this look like? How do we go from here?
After reading McConnell's resolution, it's clear McConnell is hell-bent on making it much more difficult to get witnesses and documents, and intent on rushing the trial through.
I think he wants it done. I mean, look, let's be real. If you're the Democrats, you've got, 4 people that could be hung up on this who are running for president of the United States? Do you really want that? On top of that, you know what the outcome is going to be. Do you really think you have to take stock as, am I changing anybody's mind? Is anybody out there really going to have their mind changed? Right? I have a friend who is to the right, but really open-minded. And he and I were talking about this the other day, and I said, he goes, I want to see a lot of this stuff because I find it fishy. My problem is I look over and see the Democrats, and I find them as bad as they say Trump are. So it's hard to get behind any of this because everybody's looking out for their own best interest, and everybody says they're not guilty, and the other side's guilty. So it's hard to, and I said, that's what I keep saying to people, right? It's tough to get behind something when you don't believe the other side and any of the things they're going to hand you as everything or credible because it's coming from a place of distrust and dislike of this person or that person. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Talk about Iowa, not too far away. Hillary Clinton speaking out about one senator running for president. Chad Benson Show.
The Chad Benson Show.
Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
Officials here in Wuhan have designated 9 hospitals as treatment centers, including this one right behind me. That's on top of 61 fever clinics and an expert medical team. Now, one piece of good news is that Chinese scientists have also said they figured out the DNA sequence of this virus. That opens this up to potentially new treatments and possibly a vaccine.
Yeah, it's called the coronavirus, and it's spreading big time, and they want to make sure that this thing doesn't get out of hand quick. And it could. I mean, think about this, right? There was a movie about 20 years ago. Can't believe it's been about 20 years ago, maybe longer, actually, called Outbreak. It was kind of like an Ebola virus thing that spreads quickly and it becomes airborne. And Patrick Dempsey was in it and Dustin Hoffman. I think Morgan Freeman was in it. And it was an interesting movie. Kind of like, over the top. But the reality with today's world and how we move globally, things can spread fast. And now they're worried about how fast it can spread.
According to Chinese reports, all 14 medical workers were taking care of one patient. And what that really brings up is the possibility of this phenomenon known as a super spreader. We saw it in SARS. That's one person who can literally infect hundreds or thousands of people. And again, a lot of this is being informed by the experience with SARS, which so far is causing some concern.
Yeah, it should. And it's the whole person-to-person side of things that people are worried about because they weren't quite sure. And all of a sudden, this thing's quick. We've already had a death, and it's spreading. and people could be flying, and they're already looking, okay, who's going where, from what region, and China is landing here, how fast something like that could spread. We talk about all the time, like we talk about World War I and World War II. When you go look and see what took place after World War I, and many people say it really contributed to it, but the influenza outbreak that spread and how it killed far more than World War I and probably World War II. You've probably a tie, you put them together. That's insane. Now, we work quicker, technology's better, but still, something quick like this, globally, you could be in China in 15 hours. You could be there for a day or two doing some work. Then you go over and maybe fly to Hong Kong, do some work over there. Then maybe to Europe, stop there, do some work. And people do this all the time in business. I have a partner of ours that does stuff. He's in Hong Kong and in mainland China probably a week out of every 6. And then fly back. That's insane. Could you imagine that? How fast that thing could spread? 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at us. Biden and Sanders got into it over an op-ed piece and some fake video editing and things taken out of context. Not a shocker.
Before leaving town, the Sanders campaign getting in one more swing against fellow frontrunner Joe Biden, blasting out an email to supporters, quoting a column from a surrogate, attacking the former vice president. Some think nominating Joe Biden, a moderate white man who calls himself middle-class Joe, makes sense, but Biden has a big corruption problem, and it makes him a weak candidate. Overnight, Sanders apologizing, saying, "It is absolutely not my view that Joe is corrupt in any way, and I'm sorry that op-ed appeared."
Yeah, and what's interesting about that is a new documentary coming out, and Hillary Clinton is brutal about Bernie Sanders in it. Remember this about Bernie. He's not a Democrat. He's an independent. He's not a Democrat at all. He caucuses with him, but the reality is he's an independent. She says he was in Congress for years. He had one senator support him. Nobody likes him. Nobody wants to work with him. He got nothing done. He was a career politician. It's all just baloney. And I feel so bad that people got sucked into it. She was asked if that assessment still holds. She replied, yes, it does. Look, they want Elizabeth Warren. Right. And see, here's the thing that I think people forget. The Democrat Party can pick whoever the hell they want. They're going to take it to the people, and 99.99 times they're going to follow that. Would there be an occasion? It's possible, but highly unlikely. But the reality is he's not a Democrat. He's an independent. But he'll run as a Democrat because it gives him the opportunity to get on the ticket and have the machine behind you. A lot of this is about that machine, right? That's why Elizabeth Warren, a lot of other people are pissed off at the likes of Bloomberg running, because he can just circumvent the machine. I don't need the machine. I'll create my own machine, right? Even though I'm running as a Democrat, and he's got his own machine. And that pisses people off because he's not going through the traditional ways. They would rather have her than him. And that's evident, just like they'd rather have Hillary 4 years ago or 3.5 years ago than him. But he's not on their team in reality. And he hadn't done a lot, right? He's a career politician. He's talking about revolution. Kids don't dig deep and to see a lot of the crap that he's feeding them. And I love the fact she says, and nobody likes him. Right? But you go and look and see at the attack that many people are saying on Elizabeth Warren, right? You go and see that, and people are like, wow, she came after him, and I don't know who was lying there. I tend to think that somebody took something out of context, but he wants to win, right? And his people are sold for him. The more articles I read about him, the more articles I read about his supporters, the more that I think people need to realize they're not going to vote for whoever, right? They're not going to. Some will, because they like what Bernie's offering, but if he's not there, they're going to move on to somebody else because they can't stand the person inside of the White House. But a lot of them, if it isn't Bernie, it's nothing. That's it. If it's not Bernie, it's nothing. They are going to stay at home. And that is something that I think that people are going to step back and go, really? Yeah, really. That's it. They like Bernie. They like the brand of politics he brings. They like the promises he's making. Right? Here's the problem with when you make those kind of promises, though, is people get disillusioned fast when you can't deliver those kind of promises. When you can't cover every single person. When it finally ends up becoming a reality that all the things you want to give, it's going to cost far more, but you've got that power now. And now people are asking you, hey, you said you were going to do this, this, and this, and you're not doing this, this, and this. And we're pissed now. And you said it wasn't going to cost us anything more, and it is costing us more. And Bernie's going to find out that the co-equal branches, they like being co-equal branches, right? Every president says the same thing. Well, I didn't realize I didn't have that much power until I got in there. I thought I had more power, and then I found out I don't have that much power. So the executive orders become extremely important for a lot of them to get stuff done. And if you don't have everything, and that's the thing we talk about, that perfect storm, you need the perfect storm. And in your presidency, you hope you get it once, maybe twice at best. Which is you have the House, you have the Senate, and of course, you're the president, whatever side you're on. And you will get a chance to ram something through one, maybe two big things that you can get through. Our founding fathers wanted us to be in a situation where we negotiated better than we do now, but that it wasn't so skewed so one side can run roughshod over the other side. That there was, at times, gridlock to debate stuff and to be able to have these kind of battles. Not the political world that we have now. I don't think they foresaw this, but maybe some of them did. But Bernie would find that out. Nobody likes him. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show's your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at me. You can text the program as well. Again, today, the excitement of the impeachment begins. First few days going to be mostly the boring stuff.
The president's team says these rules will allow for a fair trial, while Democrats say they will prevent the American people from learning the full truth and amount to a cover-up. So here's how the Republican rules work. They will allow each side 24 hours over 2 days to make their opening statements, meaning senators here will have to sit through marathon 12-hour sessions back-to-back. It's part of the Republican strategy to move this trial along quickly.
Isn't it funny? So I'm up at like 2:33 in the morning of all my shows that I do, right? And a bunch of other stuff and another company. And they're like, well, they're going to have to sit through 12 hours. How many of you out there have days like that all the time, right? From the moment you get up to doing all of the other stuff. And they're like, well, here's the other thing. Don't complain, right? Don't complain to the American people. Oh, my God, 12 out, 2 days. Oh, my God. Don't complain to the American people. They don't want to hear it. Somebody up there today working on a roof, right? It's snowing somewhere. Somebody's got a leak somewhere. They're on a roof. And in the summer, it's 115 degrees, and they're still on a roof doing stuff, breaking their back day to day, right? Towing cars, working retail jobs, having to work Don't whine that you have to sit somewhere for 12 hours to hear this crap. While it's boring, that's on you. You chose that world. Right? You like the fiefdom and the cool stuff. This is getting in the way of your fancy dinners and your highballs. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at me. Lightstream. So behind us is the holidays. In front of us are bills. What kind of bills? You just paid for holidays. That's the kind of bills. They've arrived, and you're looking there, and you're saying to yourself, I'm paying how much? 20% on average is the APR when it comes to interest rates here in America on credit cards. How about this? Pay off your credit card balances and save with a credit card consolidation loan from Lightstream. Here's the deal. Lightstream's amazing. Their loans have rates as low as 5.95% with autopay, and I'm going to show you how you can get a discount even on top of that. Much lower than national average. No fees whatsoever. No prepayment penalties. The application's simple and easy. You can do it right from your phone. And again, you can save right now a special interest rate discount. Now, the only way to get this is to go to lightstream.com/Benson. That's lightstream.com/Benson. Subject to credit approval. Rate includes 0.50% autopay discount. Terms and conditions apply. Offers subject to change without notice. All you have to do is visit lightstream.com/Benson for more information. At Chad Benson Show, Twitter, ChadBenson. Chad Benson Show.
You go, boy.
This isn't about right or left. This is just about right and wrong.
Right you are, Chad. The Chad Benson Show.
KGAF is the little station on the northeast side of Gainesville in Cook County.
You're listening to Hometown Radio KGAF.
Broadcasting news and weather and music in a very family-friendly way for more than 70 years. But recently, from his remote studio at his home in Dallas, station manager Steve Eberhardt had a new idea. The call letters KGAF on a personalized license plate on their newest company van.
I applied for it, and a couple of weeks later, I got a letter from the DMV declining the tag, which surprised me because I couldn't imagine why.
Okay, again, this is a radio station. It's been around since the 40s, right? Pretty family-friendly. KGAF. You're probably going, that doesn't sound like, you're trying to figure out in your mind, like, what, hold on. I'm trying to think. I'm not, low? No. Now, you got to think modern times, modern world. Think of social media. And go from there.
Words that could be considered indirectly vulgar, swear, or curse words. How do you get anything vulgar out of that? And of course, I consulted my teenage son, who very quickly started laughing. As soon as I brought the subject up, he was like, well, Dad, I can tell you exactly what they think it means.
It would seem that in a world that now communicates with OMGs and LOLs and IDKs and IMHOs, that GAF.
Well, I've been told that it's an acronym or a slang for social media for can't give a
What? I don't know about you, but I don't spell can't with a K. Do you? Is that a thing? Is that what the kids are doing nowadays? And I'm not a good speller. I'm not a good speller, but still, that's so ridiculous. But you got to think about today's world. This is how we live, where, certain things, the acronyms, the way that you're thinking this is my radio station. These are the call letters. And kids are going to be like, oh, wow, look at that. That guy, he don't give a bloop.
I can assure you the people in 1947 most likely did not intend for it to mean that.
Eberhardt, who is a member of the Texas Radio Hall of Fame, has appealed the decision by the Texas DMV and hopes for a final answer in the next 30 days.
It's been our name since 1947. We don't intend to change the name of the radio station just because some junior high kids think it means something silly.
As for what his own teenage son might find silly.
Educated you on any other acronyms that we should all know?
No, and I don't think I really want to know.
Yeah. Are you sure? Yeah, you do. You want to know. And come on, let's be real. Some of us don't know all the acronyms. So we'll go online and we'll look it up and be like, oh, okay. That means not safe for work, or that means this, or that means that. I didn't know what that is. They'll probably just tell them to put, if it's an AM station, can you do like something AM or, something like that. It's still stupid though. But that's, again, the goalpost move in all kinds of things. And we don't want to offend anybody. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at me. Larry David. Curb Your Enthusiasm. Has a MAGA hat in it.
Have the hat on, yeah. What are you, pro-Trump? No. Look, I got this idea to wear that hat so I wouldn't have to have lunch with Phil Rosenthal, and it worked like a charm. He saw me in the hat and he left the restaurant. It was amazing. And I'm not surprised. You know what? It's really coming in handy. Yeah, because no one's going to want to be anywhere near you. Exactly. It's a great people repellent. You know, look, when you're a celebrity, you can do anything you want. You can grab them by the
But this is that thing. We talk about Hollywood, right? Very inside Hollywood. This is that thing where middle America go, that's why we push back. That's why Trump. You wonder why Trump? That's why Trump. You wonder why? Because I was watching Bill Maher. He was on the other day with Joe Rogan talking about, I understand why people choose Trump. They like the fact that he's not PC because they're sick and tired of walking around on eggshells everywhere they go and have the goalposts moved on them all the time. We've talked about that for a very long time. Things that are absolutely fine today, you will be punished for tomorrow. It's retroactive rage. Retro rage. We're going to go back and retroactively bust your butt. And when you see stuff like this, you go, yeah, you know what? This is why. This is why Trump. This is why Trump. The craziness of it all. I mean, the women's parade. Remember the women's parade? And they had the hat, the pink hat, you know, the hat we're talking about? They didn't want to have the hat this time because it wasn't inclusive enough of men who are now women. Or something of that nature. And you're just like, this is why Trump. Keep doing stuff like this. This is why Trump again. Chad Benson Show.
This is the Chad Benson Show. Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
I don't think this is about the Republicans winning in these rules or the Democrats losing. I think ultimately it's the American people who are profound victims if these are the rules that are allowed to take place. Because what they'll do is they'll force the trial to occur, parts of it at midnight over the next week when nobody's watching. And we know why that is. I mean, the only things that happen at midnight are trash collection and the execution of prisoners. Those are the kinds of things that happen, major government decisions, and certainly government trials don't happen at that time.
Trash pickup, some places. Our trash guy comes at like 7 a.m. And here's the deal. Hold it at what time? Middle of the day when everybody's working and nobody's paying any attention? I mean, you act as if you holding this is starting at, 10 a.m. Eastern and going till 10 o'clock, right? Or 12 o'clock at night or whatever you're going to do with your little breaks in between, like we're going to miss something. We live in a 24/7 society. You're not going to miss anything. You're not. You're not missing anything, right? What do you think's going to happen? You miss something at midnight, but if you watched it live, you could have changed everything? No. No, it's not. And by the way, it's midnight on the East Coast. It's 9 p.m. on the West Coast. So there you go, right? Whatever you guys are going to do, it's amazing to me. The American people don't care the way that you think they should. In your bubble, right, this impeachment trial that is gripping D.C. isn't gripping Cedar Rapids, Iowa the same way. Why? Because they have a primary in a couple weeks. That's taking precedent over this. Secondly, everybody else has a life to live. Going to work, getting up, getting the kids ready for school, off to your job, right? Picking the kids up. Maybe they got sports. Maybe watch a little TV at the end of the evening. Maybe you're studying because you're back in school, right? Maybe you start a new business and you're working 14, 15 hours a day. Maybe you got a hot date. This isn't one of those things that's keeping you up at night. Partly because we are a nation that we've got the attention span of a gnat. Secondly, we already know the outcome, right? But the rules. Really? We know the outcome. I feel like, hey, I'd like to see some people called as witnesses. I'm totally cool with that. I think the Republicans are going to want to call some. They're not going to be happy on the other side. This is the tit for tat moment where you sit there and you say to yourself, America doesn't want to see everybody's dirty laundry aired out there in a way that you think it's going to help you politically, not politically, especially when you know the end of the game is you guys are going to destroy each other in hopes of getting political points. But the reality of where we live and how we live in this tribal world where you're on one side and the other person's on the other side is the only points you're going to have a chance to score are points for your team in a sense that they're not keeping score of the other team scoring points. So both sides are going to walk away and say we won. Nothing's going to change.
But all of these rules are united by the McConnell rules announced tonight, have the same basic theme, which is how do we hide as much information as possible from the American people?
All right. So what is that? I mean, what don't we know outside of Bolton, maybe Mick Mulvaney testifying for the Democrats? What don't we know about any of this, right? I'm just curious. Is there other things that the Democrats hid as a special, we're going to release this as it comes? What else? And whose mind is that going to change? There's this hope and prayer in the likes of Adam Schiff and every people's minds that somehow they're going to unleash something that's so big, right? You guys remember the movie Clash of the Titans? Release the Kraken! And the Kraken's going to come out. It's going to change everything. Right? And then on the other side, Mitch McConnell is going to come out with Medusa's head and freeze the Kraken. Nothing's going to change. People's minds are made up. Right? Their minds were made up. The ones whose minds weren't made up when Trump first became president, their minds were officially made up through the Mueller investigation. And now, after that failed attempt through the investigation to get him in the gotcha moments that you thought you were going to get him at, now at this point in time, those people aren't even paying attention. I mean, look at the numbers. And a place like CNN, who really was dreaming of all of this stuff, their numbers plummeted. Nobody takes them serious anymore. They feel it's a one-sided barrage. People go to Fox or CNN. That's the way they consume their news, and that's the way they're going to consume their impeachment. They already believe he's guilty or innocent. Nothing's changing. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You could tweet at me. Love hearing from each and every single one of you. Do you guys remember this whole thing about like immigration and how big that was? Right? Do you guys remember that?
The peak came last May when more than 144,000 people were caught trying to come into the country illegally, the most in 13 years. Every month since then has seen a decline until last month when just over 40,000 people were apprehended, a 73% decline from last May.
Which is huge, right? Like, you can hate Trump all you want, but the message is out there. I don't want to see anybody being put in cages and all of that. I mean, that's, again, framing the thing. We could sit here and argue about this, but for years it went on. Democrats and Republicans played the game. They ignored it. One of the reasons Trump got in there is because he's like, I want to stop this from happening. Now you've got a new group that's moving its way up. Mexico is trying to do all they can to keep them from coming in. But they're eventually going to get through. It's going to be several hundred by the end of it. I'm going to guess. And it seems to be, depending on the time of the year, not just the migration, but also is it Guatemala, is it El Salvador, is it Honduras? What's the makeup of the people?
Early last year, Central American families made up a sizable portion of the people being picked up by Border Patrol. Now Mexican migrants and single adults have surpassed families among those caught coming across the southern border illegally. Customs officials credit policies that require asylum seekers to wait in Mexico for their immigration appointments to come up.
Yeah, so... oh, that's bad, that's evil. And with all that going on, you've got the likes of Joe Biden coming out talking about immigration, right? Addressing a Hispanic youth town hall on immigration. And, this is this situation here where I understand why people get frustrated.
Look, 24 out of every 100 kids in our schools today is Hispanic, 24 out of 100.
It's in everybody's interest, the wealthy, the poor, Republicans, Democrats, no matter who they are, to make sure this becomes an incredibly well-educated part of the community. That's how every major wave of immigration has occurred. We should be investing significantly for the safety and the sake of this country.
Okay, that doesn't sound bad. I understand that. But then he starts getting on to ICE and who can and can't be arrested.
Rejected the idea of abolishing ICE, but have said that the system should be reformed in some ways.
Yes.
What exact changes would you bring to ICE as an agency?
I would hold ICE agents accountable if, in fact, they stepped over my executive orders, which is no arrest of anyone outside of their school.
So how do you change the culture?
You change the culture by saying you're going to get fired. You're fired if, in fact, you do that. You only arrest for the purpose of dealing with a felony that's committed, and I don't count drunk driving as a felony.
Okay, so you're only going to be arrested if you commit some sort of felony, and even if it's drunk driving, it's not going to be a felony. All right. So you start listening and saying, okay, well, so you come over the border illegal. You're not going to arrest anybody. You know, everybody screams. I love how that, well, I'm not for open borders except for the part where I'm not going to punish anybody for coming here. It's frustrating. Right? Like, straight answer. Why can't we have a sovereign country? Why can't people do it correctly? Understand the frustration they have, but let's place our anger at the fact that their countries have failed, that their governments have failed them, that the corruption that is going on there is continuing to go on.
How exactly would you detain immigrants, if at all, in a Biden administration?
The way we did when we reformed the system with the DACA, I would not retain them behind bars. They show up. They show up. Sometimes you have an ankle bracelet, you set a hearing. We have to serve to the border the areas where people are being held. Get rid of all the cages, everybody out of prisons. Be in a position where if the most you put on is an ankle bracelet, that you give a date, you're going to show up for an immigration hearing, and they show up.
Is that for children, adults and children?
Across the board.
Across the board. So that's what he's doing. Across the board. That's frustration. That for me, right? Some of the stuff I look over, I go, I like some of that stuff. I like some of the stuff they talk about with healthcare and where they should be trying to go with that, right? Pete Buttigieg, John Delaney's still in it. I mean, they've got some ideas that I'm like, I'm totally fine with that. Then I look over at something like this and I sit there and I shake my head and I say, this is exactly the game that people don't want to play. This is why Trump, because people are sick and tired of it. They like the fact. I have friends who are staunch Democrats. They are as blue as they come. And they're like, I don't want open borders. We can have a little bit more free flowing between the countries when it comes to work visas, and we should make some of those things easier. But, you know, you scream we're not advocating for open borders, and at the same time, there's no punishment, right? It's like the frustration people have all over the country with the way that, like, places like California and Washington State and several others are taking on homelessness by saying, look, anything under $1,000, basically, we're not even doing anything for. You want to rob somebody and take $900? It's like, well, you know, you want to go in and break in, you want to do some stuff, don't do. So you're not really about any of this stuff. You're about enabling and then everybody else pay for it. That's frustrating. That is absolutely frustrating. And that doesn't win over a lot of people that you're hoping and you need to win over on. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show's your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at me. My Pillow is not your pillow, but you can get a My Pillow. We can get anything now. My Pillow is incredible. It really is. I mean, I've got their mattress toppers, I have all of their stuff, and I've got their towels now, right? And their towels are incredible. 5 different amazing colors, huge, massive, comfortable, soak up the wall. I mean, it's just amazing. These things are huge, and they're incredible. They got hand towels, they got wash, they got everything. And now's your chance to get some. Man, I will tell you what, the luxury feels incredible, right? And part of the reason it feels so amazing is because of the cotton. It's 100% USA cotton, but what they do is there's no fillers, cheap softeners, so it stays the way it is. And that's what I love about it. You get a 6-day money-back guarantee, and right now you're going to save big. And it's simple. You go to MyPillow.com. There is a new radio listener special. You click on that, you type in code Benson, and away you go. Save huge. MyPillow.com, new radio listener special. Type in code Benson or call 800-983-4975. Use my code Benson. 100% USA cotton, 5 different designer choices, 60-day money-back guarantee, the best towels around. MyPillow.com, radio code Benson. Chad Benson Show.
Experiencing separation anxiety? That's dumb. Check out Chad 24/7 at his website, ChadBensonShow.com, and on iTunes, free. The Chad Benson Show. Never feel lonely again.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0, ignition, liftoff.
Now it's time to find out what's trending. What's trending? Yeah, what does that mean? I mean something, right? Like it's trending on the old internet. What's trending? Lots of stuff trending all over the place. Let's first and foremost start in the magical world of Twitter. Nobody likes him is trending, as is Hillary Clinton, and I like Bernie, partly because Hillary, in a new documentary, apparently says nobody likes him. Right? He's a career politician that's done nothing. And she feels sorry for everybody who's been caught up in him. Ooh. It's pretty brutal. Biden is corrupt. It's trending. Why? Because of what's taking place with the battle of Bernie and Biden. Taco Tuesday always should be trending because tacos are delicious. Head on over to the magical world of Google. School closings across the country. Places where it's wet and rainy and nasty. Snowy. Prodigal son. TV show. And Ozzy Osbourne trending the most. Ozzy said last year was his most miserable year and came out as well and revealed that he has Parkinson's disease. And the battle that's going on, it's got a new album, and he's says he's going to battle it. He's going to do his thing. He's going to get out there. It's not going to let him slow himself down. So, wow. Ozzy. People always ask about Ozzy Osbourne, and having lived in England for as long as I did, that takeaway, it's all the drugs he did, there's all this, that, and the other. I'm like, you've never been to Birmingham in England. It's a lot of people talk like Ozzy. The Birmingham, England. A lot of people do. A lot. Crazy. And impeachment is winning the day everywhere, both on Twitter and Google. People trying to figure out what this is all about. Right? What exactly is going on? How does this work? What are these rules? How does this go down? What does this break down? What does this look like? I don't understand these rules. What kind of rules are they? Again, impeachment is, this is a trial, but it's not a trial in the way that we think of trials. It's not a criminal trial. This is a political trial, right? Even if they remove him from office, he's not going to jail. Nobody's leaving in handcuffs. So it's an interesting thing as you try to see it, break down. Plus, the jury, the 100 senators, are not like normal jurors, right? So there's rules. And that's what they're going to be debating over the next 2 days. People are mad at Mitch McConnell because he's setting the rules, and the rules he's going to come out and go, well, it was good enough for Clinton. Why is it not good enough for and they'll do the things that they do. But the reality is it's not what we think of a trial, because the jury's going to be asking questions. They're going to be fact-finding. They're going to want to call witnesses. I mean, you're not on a jury and go, it'd be great if we called a witness. No, it's totally a different thing. So, and everybody knows everybody, too, right? Like when you go to a jury, very rarely, if you're on a jury, do you know the person who is being accused of something, whether you know him or her in a good way or a bad way, and have a preconceived idea of the outcome already. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show's your Twitter. Chad Benson Show.
The Chad Benson Show.
Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
Davos. He has clashed before with Angela Merkel, the German chancellor, also the Finnish prime minister, when talking about global climate change. He did announce that he would withdraw from the Paris Climate Accord. And then also we know about Greta Thunberg, the 17-year-old climate activist who the president has mocked on social media. She is going to be here as well.
Yeah, she is. She's one of the headliners that's there, and she was out last week talking about Davos. So what happens in Davos? Originally it was like a business forum, right, and a get-together. Now it's business. It's world leaders. It is social issue people like Greta Thunberg.
For well over a year, young people from all across the globe have been school striking for their right to a future every Friday. We sure have done this for a long time, but we need to make clear that this is just the beginning. To the world leaders and those in power, I would like to say that you haven't seen anything yet. You have not seen the last of us. We can assure you that.
And everybody cheers in the whole 9 yards. And she's out talking about it. Again, a year on, and she's one of the headliners. People want to hear what she has to say. Right? What does she have to say?
The climate and environment is a hotter topic right now, and a lot thanks to young people pushing. But of course, if you see it from another perspective, pretty much nothing has been done.
No, not a lot has been done. But here's the thing. No matter what you do, it's never going to be enough. Right? That's the reality of a lot of things for a lot of people when it comes to something like climate. No matter what you do, it is never going to be enough. And this is where we need to realize that at some point in time, we need to treat our world better. I don't get people on either side who argue over, who cares? We're arguing semantics, about I've yet to find somebody who is uber conservative that wants to destroy the planet. Right? Everybody wants the planet to be great. And sometimes where people skirt the issue is they want the planet to be beautiful and wonderful, but they may want to ignore some of the things that they're doing that cause issues and problems for, clean water, pollution in the air, all of that stuff. Right? And that's where some people, this is the issue we have. And it's a big dollar issue. And it's becoming a big dollar issue on the green side of things as well. But it's also a control issue. And that's where a lot of people on the left miss it. It's settled science, settled science, settled science. Well, when science is writing your check, you'll settle anything. Because you could go out and you could get somebody who's left some of those academic worlds, as has happened, and they're like, all right, let me tell you what really is going on over there. Yeah, we need to take better care of the planet. Yeah, there's some issues. And at the same time, little hyperbole. We're throwing some stuff out there that's a little bit crazy. Why? Because it evokes fear. Fear is an emotion. Emotion gets people to act. How do we bring them both together where it's not insane, where we don't give up certain things, right, and control, and we do it right? And how do we enforce some of these things when we know that we want to be the one who's going to be the one who enforces all of these? The UN's useless, right? It's the old saying they couldn't break up a cookie fight at a Girl Scout convention. They're not going to do any of that. And they're as corrupt, if not the most corrupt organization outside of the IOC, the International Olympic Committee, and the World Cup Committee, FIFA, on the planet. So how do we go about doing this in a real way? That's it. Without sending us back to the Dark Ages, which is also hyperbole. We're not going to go back to that. But do it in a way that's very real. And at the same time, build better energy models and better energy, cleaner, cleaner. Because we can do this with technology. We can make things cleaner. We can burn things. Why are we not talking about nuclear? Because you can't talk about nuclear, right? Because that's bad. But as anybody will explain it to you, you can't get from point A to point B when it comes to this, when you want to reduce all of these things, without the talk of nuclear. So how do we do it? How do we do it in a real way? 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You could tweet at us. Remember, healthcare's out there as well.
After 2 federal courts threatened to invalidate the entire Affordable Care Act, more than a dozen Democrat-led states defending the law appealed to the Supreme Court. They asked the justices to intervene swiftly to end uncertainty over fate of the law, which advocates say is causing higher insurance prices and public confusion. But today, the justices rejected that request, steering clear of a fight over Obamacare, likely until after the 2020 election. The Supreme Court did not rule out taking up the appeal, but signaled the health care case should be allowed to proceed through the lower courts first.
Yeah. What's that mean? Well, they're confusion, right? What's happening? We're expanding some areas, we're shrinking in others. Healthcare costs is out of control. And what are we doing, right? What are we doing to get a hold of this? Do you want to know why people are pissed? Because people are sick and tired of the uncertainty of the cost of healthcare. People are sick and tired of the fact that, you know what, it's cheaper for me to pay cash and try to hit my deductible. I want it as a just in case the world goes to hell in a handbasket in my life scenario. People want to know why you go over here and you've got a broken arm and it's $1,500, and you go over here and you got a broken arm and it's $33,000. People want questions about this stuff answered. This is what's wrong. It's too much baloney. It's too much crap. It's too confusing. And you top it off with the ACA that, look, I've always given Obama and them credit for trying to do something. And what people don't realize is you're not going to destroy the entire insurance industry and the millions of jobs that go with it and not have some pushback from people who'd be like, well, hold on a second, you're destroying an industry and the other part of government control without a fight back. It was always people, you've got to, it's the frog in the water, right? So if you throw a frog in hot water, what's it do? Boom, it jumps. You put it in cool water, you turn up slowly, it starts to get warmer, it acclimates himself, and by the time something happens, it's too late. That's what a lot of people thought Obamacare was first leading to. It was never written to be health care as we know or think about health care. It was always written to be a law to withstand court battles more than anything else. But who wrote the law? Well, the insurance companies helped write this law. They helped craft all this stuff. How do we get to a point where when you talk to people in this country, they want transparency and they just want an easy understanding? I pay this. There you go. This costs this. Again, it's so bizarre. Last week, here's a perfect example of insanity. So where I live is a bit rural. So I'm about 50 miles outside of town, 60 miles outside of town. I need my prescription filled, right? So the place, like, you know, one of those chain pharmacies, you go over here to this chain pharmacy, they want to charge you like $238. And I'm like, really? Yeah. For this. Yeah. That's for a month's supply. Yeah. But I have 90 days. Yeah. You take it to Costco for 90 days, it's $17. And my prescription copay thing is like $40 or whatever. So it's just cheaper to pay cash. But over here, you want to charge me this. Why? Like, what happens between here and here? Where's the... People want transparency. We want to know what things cost. We like the competition. But the competition in the medical world is so bizarre. And it is so just incestuous and nasty. And the way that they do things, the way that they set up things, just the crap inside of there. And how they price things. And how you don't get to figure out what something really costs and get an actual price on it. And a third of the money that people spend on insurance and all of the stuff that goes with that stuff goes to bureaucracy. Yeah, frustration, to say the least. Absolutely. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. Love hearing from every single one of you. They're laying out the big impeachment today. They're trying to get everything sorted out, how this thing goes as it starts. And today is just the starting point. This isn't the trial in full effect. But this will have a lot to say about what that trial looks like.
Impeachment trial set to resume today on Capitol Hill. Now, each side, the House impeachment managers and the White House, gets up to 24 hours, just over 2 days, to make their opening arguments. Now, these 12-hour days are what Republicans want for a quicker trial, and Democrats are arguing this format is purposefully to conceal the president's actions and hold the trial in the dead of night when the American people aren't watching.
They're not watching anyways. That's what people don't realize. Like, they think that we're all watching. I watch because it's my business, but I'll tell you what, I don't watch. I'm not covering it 24/7. I'm going to talk about it. We'll hit the stuff that's real, but I already know what the outcome is going to be. And we're not going to learn anything else out there. I want to know about healthcare. I want to know what you're doing with the border. I want to know how you're going to keep the economy rolling. Right? I want to talk about the issues that matter day to day. This feels just nothing but political because that's what this is. This is more about you raising money, keeping your name in an area where the profile is high and it makes re-election even better. But this isn't changing people's minds because people have already made up their minds about this, and they did that a long time ago. And they're not going to watch it. They'll hear the clips on the news or on radio shows, and they're going to consume that in the way that they want it consumed. They're not going to watch on CNN if they're uber right or even to the right. They're not going to watch on Fox if they're to the left or uber left. They're going to go to the places that they want to consume it, and they're going to eat this up the way that they look at life, right or left. Not changing minds. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show's your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at us. AMAC, Association Mature American Citizens, fastest growing over 50 organization in the country. As we're talking about, transparency, AMAC's one of these companies that is out there fighting for you to go and to make sure that the government's doing things that are correct. Like, how are you dealing with immigration? You guys talk about it, but you don't do anything. What about Social Security and Medicare? The facts are, as we head into 2020, they both are ignoring the elephant in the room, that these two programs and agencies could be essentially gone as far as money goes, right? They're going to be insolvent. They're going to have any cash. How are you guys dealing with that? They're out there fighting on your behalf for that, as well as giving you great benefits. Retail, restaurant, hotel discounts, amusement parks, you name it, they've got it. Discounts big time. How about insurance discounts? And they'll also help you with little things. Maybe you got a question about Social Security, Medicare. They can help you with that. Right now, you can join for free. It's free. Doesn't cost you a penny. It's 1 year. It's on me. All you have to do is go to amac.us/Chad. That's amac.us/Chad, or call 888-355-1617. That's 888-355-1617 or amac.us/Chad. It's 1 year. It's free. It's on me. Chad Benson Show.
I, you, he, she, it. Lucy is a girl.
Point of personal privilege. Please do not use gendered language to address everyone.
Shut up, boo. Ain't nobody got time for this.
This is the Chad Benson Show.
Always love that. The gendered language. We were talking earlier about the parade, the Women's March, and the hats that the women wore the first year, the ones we're talking about, the pink hats that represent something of genitalia, and that they weren't wearing them anymore, or because they weren't inclusive enough. Some people who identify as women still have male parts, and you're just like, how do you live like that? Like, how do you wake up and you wake up looking to be offended? Because you're going to be. And in many cases, it's not because somebody wants to offend you. It's just because you have so many rules and so many goalposts that are always moving that it's hard not to, right? It's just hard not to. So it's, I mean, what you say anymore at that point in time? The animals, kids, they're rising up. They are. Nature, as we will say, will mess you up. Oh, it can. But sometimes nature meets its match.
A New Hampshire father killed a coyote with his bare hands after it attacked his 2-year-old son. Ian O'Reilly says he was hiking on a trail with his family when the coyote grabbed the toddler and dragged him to the ground. O'Reilly was bitten and scratched by the coyote as he struggled to free his son and finally prevailed.
I had its snout here, pushed it into the snow, and then just took my hand and got on its windpipe as best I could.
Oh, Peter's probably mad about that, right? How dare you do it?
Got on its windpipe as best I could, and then put my knee on its ribs to try and pin it. Never underestimate the power of survival, I suppose. That coyote was very much interested in living, but, so were we.
Yeah. Who wouldn't, right? Like, who wouldn't? You have a chance. If somebody attacks your kid, unless it's a dingo, which, of course, took your baby, but you're going to, right? Like, dogs, doesn't matter. It's like, somebody comes after my kids, it's on. It is on. Something, it's on, right? Like, I may not survive, but I'm going to do everything I can to make sure that doesn't approach family, kids, the whole 9 yards. And Dad did what, he went remember King Kong, right? Like King Kong would fight in the Monster Island. He just grabbed the monstrous thing, just rah! Oh, animals are. And then the coyotes, though, they tried to get back because they run onto the tarmac at the airport here in Phoenix, right? Sky Harbor. They're everywhere, man. Animals are taking over the world. You got pissed off squirrels. We were just talking off the air about monkeys in certain parts of the world that will take babies and will attack. Then you've got, here's one that brings it home to everybody. Ducks and geese, right? You ever gone to the park where they eat? And everybody brings the bread to throw the ducks and the geese. And then you run out of bread and you start to realize they've surrounded you. And you're like, are you kidding me? Like, this is going to happen? Right? And then all of a sudden you're like fleeing for your life and you got pissed off geese because you don't have what they want, which is snacks. It's nuts. They're taking over the world. Nature will mess you up. It's part of the climate change thing. Chad, 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Imagine this. You go to Vegas, right? Having a good weekend, hanging out with your friends. You're at the Excalibur, so it's not like you're a super high roller. Not that the Excalibur's bad. You're just not rolling deep at Caesars, Mandalay Bay, Bellagio. Right? You go over to the Wheel of Fortune machine. Progressive slot, you throw in a couple bucks. Next thing you know, boom, you win. How much? $5.482 million. That's not bad. I love the Excalibur tweeted it out, but then underneath it says, please play responsibly. Must be 21. Gambling problems or concern? Call 1-800-522-4700. Yeah, that's a winning weekend. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show, Twitter. Chad Benson Show.
This is the Chad Benson Show. Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
This is nothing like the process that was used in the Clinton trial. To begin with, and this is, I think, most indicative, in the Clinton trial, both Senate leadership worked out a bipartisan proposal for how the trial would be conducted. That obviously has not happened here.
It's time for impeachment. Who's ready for impeachment? I am. Who's ready to see this happen in front of the world? Impeachment time is here. Oh, my dear. It's my impeachment song. I got a lot of them. I was singing that off the air. I was just picking stuff up as it goes. Just impeachment. This is kind of how. These rules are kind of the same. Remember, they voted on witnesses and stuff after like 2 days of setting down the rules and went from there. Right? This is not. No, what you're saying is this is not how it ended up. But at the beginning of it, it was pretty much kind of the same thing. And I love Adam Schiff, of all people.
It does not prescribe a process for a fair trial. And the American people desperately want to believe that the Senate will give both the president and the House of Representatives a fair trial.
But nobody believes that. Nobody believes that because they already, it's so funny. I think the New York Post or somebody had a thing today. Innocent. Now let's get on with the trial. Right. But on the Washington Post, you could put guilty. Now let's get on with the trial. That's what everybody thinks. They think that you think he's guilty no matter what. You thought he was guilty. You had already a chance to take a swing at him and you missed and it didn't go the way you thought. For the love of goodness gracious, you guys have been looking for a crime to pin on him is what he's saying. And his people, his base, they believe that. Because you have. And the other side, they think it's all a bunch of crap and it's all made up and it's not. But because of the partisanness, fairness went out the window a long time ago. Went out the window forever ago. Right? You know Lady Justice, right? You guys see Lady Justice? Right? Lady Justice in politics would have her hand around both parties. Right? Her arms around both parties. What's up, guys? How you guys doing? Nobody buys any of this has been fair and down the middle. Nobody buys any of this because while you get out there and yelp from the top of the rooftops and anybody will hand you a damn microphone.
Without the documents, you can't make important judgments about even which witnesses should be called or what questions should be asked of the witnesses when you do. So that is a profound departure from the Clinton precedent.
Isn't that the whole thing, though, for the next 24 hours, 48 hours, you guys are going to battle it out, right? Right? From like 2 in the afternoon to 4 in the morning with a little break in between so America doesn't get to see what you guys are doing. First of all, most of you probably fall asleep. Right? Past your bedtime. Past my bedtime. I get up at 2:33 in the morning. I got a lot of stuff to do. West Coast will be enjoying it, right? They're a little prime-timey for them. East Coast will be falling asleep. So the old saying about, sports, right? You never know who's good on the West Coast. Why? Because the games start at 9 o'clock, 9:30, 10:30. Nobody stays up to watch any of that stuff. It's the same thing here. West Coast will have prime-time viewing. Nobody believes any of you. That's what you should take away from this. Nobody believes the right. Nobody believes the left. They all believe you're lying, and in many cases, they're right. That's where we are at this moment in time. You look around, and everybody goes, yeah, Adam Schiff's kind of got something there. We want it to be fair, and it doesn't feel fair, but it didn't feel fair when you're running everything either. That's kind of funny that you're talking about fairness when you didn't play fair. So I'm not quite sure we're buying all of this at this moment in time. So you guys are going to sit down over the next couple of days. You can try to figure it all out, right? You're going to go to the microphones and you're going to say your little things.
After reading McConnell's resolution, it's clear McConnell is hell-bent on making it much more difficult to get witnesses and documents, and intent on rushing the trial through.
Hell-bent on all of this stuff. Get over yourselves. People already made up their minds, and that includes the base. You're not going to influence anybody. Nobody's sitting around going, I love Trump. He's my hero. I love him. And then Bolton comes out, and they're going to go, yeah, I think he's bad. I don't like him. Right? And on the other side, you're not going to get anybody to go, oh, I think Trump's the most guilty person, most corrupt individual on planet Earth, and he deserves to be driven from the office with people with pitchforks and stakes. And then they watch it and go, maybe he's not. No, none of that's happened. Everybody's already made up their mind. And they're going to consume the impeachment the way they like it, where they like it. Fox, Breitbart, MSNBC, Daily Kos, CNN, wherever it is that makes them feel comfortable. You're not changing minds. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at me. So today, Hillary Clinton I guess there's a documentary that's come out, and she said in this documentary, she's backed it up, about Bernie Sanders. He was in Congress for years. One senator supported him. Nobody likes him. Nobody wants to work with him. He got nothing done. He was a career politician. It's all baloney, and I feel bad for the people who got sucked into it. And they asked her, does that still hold up? Yeah, it does. And I think a lot of people feel that way. They get sucked into something like that. And remember, this is as much about, when people talk about character, people talk about a lot of different things, but understand that this election is also about likability, right? Likability. And that's vitally important, right? No matter what anybody says, right? This like super, like on top of the top. People look at somebody like Bernie Sanders, he's a crotchety old man, but he's promising everybody the world with no way to really pay for it. They look at like somebody like Elizabeth Warren, and there's just something about her that doesn't click, right? She feels very elitist. Same thing with Buttigieg. I was watching Iowa Democrats and another group, and all of them said the same thing about him. They come across very elitist, like they're way better than everybody. It's about likability. And a lot of people don't understand that. Yeah, guess what? No matter what you say, there are people in this country who don't just like Trump, who love Trump.
I talk about the likability factor in politics, because Hillary Clinton, they said, well, I didn't like her. I don't know. It was something about her I didn't like, stuff like that. Meanwhile, we have a president of the United States who is the most unlikable person I've ever seen on television. And yet he has half the country in love with him.
By the way, it's not half.
Well, third, whoever they are.
It's too much, but it's not half.
Yeah.
It speaks to the fact that...
How do you explain that?
No, I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why right now. Anybody ever watch American Idol? Who is the most likable person on American Idol? Simon Cowell. Why? He was brutally honest. He was hilarious. He said things that made you cringe. He'd look right at people, right? And just stomp on their dreams. Trump's a lot of things, right? Let me tell you something, the difference between him and Hillary. For all of the likability things, who would you like to have dinner with, honestly? Who's funny? Who's jovial? Take away the politics of it all. Who's making you laugh? When's the last time she cracked a joke? You're like, damn, that was hilarious. When was that? Right? It was never, right? It was never. So their likability is very real. And I don't think people understand that. That it's not just likability of Trump or dislike of Trump. It's the fact that people like Joy Behar and everybody else think everybody thinks like them. They live in a bubble. And then everybody who doesn't think like them, well, they're kind of idiots, right? They're knuckle draggers, white supremacists, right? Bunch of idiots. And they feel like they're better. And they think, well, you look down upon us.
I mean, likability is just so much more complicated for women, period, and it's so much more complicated for women candidates. So what we know is that voters will vote for a man even if they don't like him, as long as they believe he's competent. Women candidates have to clear both hurdles. They have to convince voters that they're competent, and then they also have to convince voters that they're likable. So they're doing just a lot more work.
That's not true. People loved Obama. What did Obama do? How long was he in the Senate? Right? From grassroots community organizer to the Senate, didn't even serve a term, and the next thing you know, he's president of the United States. It wasn't like they thought, oh, this guy's the most competent individual. No, he was likable. He was charismatic. There's something about him. I look at somebody like Tulsi Gabbard, she doesn't get a chance. There's a lot of people out there, women, who are absolutely likable. A lot of men out there that aren't. But you know what? Competence is huge. We forget that. Likability, big, but competence is bigger. And this is funny what they say here.
Men even care for what? Do you really think that in Germany they cared about, what's her name now? Angela Merkel. Angela Merkel, whether she was likable or not, or Theresa May or Golda Meir? They don't care in those countries. Why do we care so much about this?
So we should only care about competence? Oh, I totally agree. But if we're going to care about competence, then we're going to have to look at numbers, and we're going to have to look at what people really have done and success that come their way. And we're going to take away all those things? Got zero problems. But it's still somewhat of a personality test, and that has to do with the fact that when you look up there and you see and perception is reality. You see the people on stage and you start saying to yourself, he gets a phone call at 2 a.m. from such and such because we've been attacked. He has to stand next to this person here who's going to get in his face in Davos, Switzerland or somewhere. What does that look like? Right? There are questions that people ask in their mind besides the likability. Perception is reality, though, and we still want to be able to say to ourselves, well, I'd sit down and have a beer, have dinner with that person. And sometimes that's the tie that goes to the runner. That's the tiebreaker right there. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at me. You can text the program as well. Wounded Paw, amazing organization. I was hanging out with my dogs last night. I love my dogs. They are not service dogs, but they were shelter dogs. I rescued them, and they're incredible, and I love them, and they make me smile, kind of like my lizards do. And it's just awesome what animals can do. And that's why Wounded Paw came together. Serviceman comes back after being wounded, struggling. Gets a dog. That dog changes his life. Not a service dog. Mind you, just a dog that he rescued changed his life. That's when the light bulb went off, and that's when Wounded Paw was put together. The Wounded Paw Project is amazing. What they do is connect our furry best friends with our nation's heroes. Their motto is simple: save a paw to save a life. That's simple. It is. They take these dogs that are in shelters, would otherwise be euthanized, and take them from shelter dogs to service dogs and get them to our first responders or veterans and their families. They need your help, and it's easy to do. A gifted vehicle is awesome. Donating is so easy. You go to woundedpawproject.org and check out how you can donate. If it flies, if it floats, if it drives, they don't care. They'll come, they'll take it, and it's amazing. You can also give cash. Check out all the work they're doing and how they're changing lives. WoundedPawProject.org or call 844-678-4729, 844-678-4PAW or WoundedPawProject.org. Chad Benson Show.
Set Chad straight. Text the show, 323-538-2423. That's 323-538-CHAD. Someone has to do it. Might as well be you. The Chad Benson Show.
We're talking off air about the husky. If you guys have not seen the husky that is taking the internet by storm, it's this dog that has an eyelid kind of deformity, right? Jubilee is its name. And it looks like it's got googly eyes, right? Like those little eyes that you would get and you'd put on like a sock puppet or something. And it totally looks like that. It's hilarious. It's just hilarious. It almost at times looks like somebody's wearing a mask of the dog. But it's awesome. And I was telling everybody, people are fighting over it, right? It's going to get a new home. But a lot of people, I bet, are fighting over this dog because they're thinking to themselves, oh, my God, this is my shot at internet fame, right? This is my version of Grumpy Cat, who also had issues. I mean, I would love this dog. It would be hilarious. Hey, guys, what's going on? It's me with my eyes. I can see you. It's just awesome. But I understand that people are going to do that. It's a congenital defect, but it's not a health problem, they say. And I can guarantee you that's like, somebody's like, that's our meme future right there. People are looking, how, if I don't have kids, how do I make my pets a star? People are saying to themselves, how do I not have to have a regular job, right? How do I get to the point where I can make $1 million off my critter so I don't have to have a gig? So I can sit at home all day and take pictures of my funny cat and we can laugh about it. And then I could go to, CatCon or all of these other things. And like I went to, was it VidCon a few years ago? And it was insane. And Grumpy Cat was there. So it's all of the YouTube stars and everything. And Grumpy Cat line to get a picture with Grumpy Cat was like you thought you were meeting the Beatles. It's just insane. It was just, there it is. There's Grumpy Cat. Hey, Grumpy Cat, how are you? Can I get your autograph? But it's so crazy. And that's what I think when I see something like this, the first thing that pops into my mind is somebody's going to try to get that dog for internet fame. Right? For internet fame. And it'll be a meme, and then they'll do all kinds of stuff, and then the next thing you know, people are going to want you to show up at VidCon, they're going to pay you $50,000 to come out for the weekend, and you charge $50 for a picture of Jubilee. You may love it, but people look at it from a business aspect. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at me. You can text the program as well. If you didn't see what Miss Hillary said, posted it on the old Twitter. Go check it out. See what she said about Bernie Sanders in a new documentary. It's very interesting. It's funny what people say. Oh, it's the pot calling the kettle black. Oh, my goodness me. I love politics at times, but it is so childish. It is so childish. Chad Benson Show.
The Chad Benson Show.
Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
Officials here in Wuhan have designated 9 hospitals as treatment centers, including this one right behind me. That's on top of 61 fever clinics and an expert medical team. Now, one piece of good news is that Chinese scientists have also said they've figured out the DNA sequence of this virus. That opens this up to potentially new treatments and possibly a vaccine.
Yeah, it's called the coronavirus, and it's spreading big time, and they want to make sure that this thing doesn't get out of hand quick. And it could. I mean, now, think about this, right? There was a movie about 20 years ago. Can't believe it's been about 20 years ago, maybe longer, actually, called Outbreak. It was kind of like an Ebola virus thing that spreads quickly and it becomes airborne. And Patrick Dempsey was in it, and Dustin Hoffman. I think Morgan Freeman was in it. And it was an interesting movie. Kind of like, over the top. But the reality with today's world and how we move globally, things can spread fast. And now they're worried about how fast it can spread.
According to Chinese reports, all 14 medical workers were taking care of one patient. And what that really brings up is the possibility of this phenomenon known as a super spreader. We saw it in SARS. That's one person who can literally infect hundreds or thousands of people. And again, a lot of this is being informed by the experience with SARS, which so far is causing some concern.
Yeah, it should. And it's the whole person-to-person side of things that people are worried about because they weren't quite sure, and all of a sudden this thing's quick. We've already had a death, and it's spreading, and people could be flying, and they're already looking, okay, who's going where, from what region in China is landing here, how fast something like that could spread. We talk about all the time, like we talk about World War I and World War II. When you go look and see what took place after World War I, and many people say it really contributed to it, but the influenza outbreak that spread and how it killed far more than World War I and probably World War II. You've probably a tie, you put them together. That's insane. Now, we work quicker, technology's better, but still, something quick like this, globally, you could be in China in 15 hours. You could be there for a day or two doing some work. Then you go over and maybe fly to Hong Kong, do some work over there. Then maybe to Europe, stop there, do some work. And people do this all the time in business. I have a partner of ours that does stuff. He's in Hong Kong and in mainland China probably a week out of every 6. And then fly back. That's insane. Could you imagine that? How fast that thing could spread? 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at us. Biden and Sanders got into it over an op-ed piece and some fake video editing and things taken out of context, not a shocker.
Before leaving town, the Sanders campaign getting in one more swing against fellow frontrunner Joe Biden, blasting out an email to supporters, quoting a column from a surrogate, attacking the former vice president. Some think nominating Joe Biden, a moderate white man who calls himself middle-class Joe, makes sense, but Biden has a big corruption problem and it makes him a weak candidate. Overnight, Sanders apologizing, saying, "It is absolutely not my view that Joe is corrupt in any way, and I'm sorry that op-ed appeared."
Yeah, and what's interesting about that is a new documentary coming out, and Hillary Clinton is brutal about Bernie Sanders in it. Remember this about Bernie. He's not a Democrat. He's an independent. He's not a Democrat at all. He caucuses with him, but the reality is he's an independent. She says he was in Congress for years. He had one senator support him. Nobody likes him. Nobody wants to work with him. He got nothing done. He was a career politician. It's all just baloney. And I feel so bad that people got sucked into it. She was asked if that assessment still holds. She replied, yes, it does. Look, they want Elizabeth Warren. Right. And see, here's the thing that I think people forget. The Democrat Party can pick whoever the hell they want. They're going to take it to the people, and 99.99 times they're going to follow that. Would there be an occasion? It's possible, but highly unlikely. But the reality is he's not a Democrat. He's an independent. But he'll run as a Democrat because it gives him the opportunity to get on the ticket and have the machine behind you. A lot of this is about that machine, right? That's why Elizabeth Warren and a lot of other people are pissed off at the likes of Bloomberg running, because he can just circumvent the machine. I don't need the machine. I'll create my own machine, right? Even though I'm running as a Democrat, and he's got his own machine. And that pisses people off because he's not going through the traditional ways. They would rather have her than him. And that's evident, just like they'd rather have Hillary 4 years ago or 3.5 years ago than him. But he's not on their team in reality. And he hadn't done a lot, right? He's a career politician. He's talking about revolution. Kids don't dig deep and to see a lot of the crap that he's feeding them. And I love the fact she says, and nobody likes him. Right? But you go and look and see at the attack that many people are saying on Elizabeth Warren, right? You go and see that, and people are like, wow, she came after him, and I don't know who was lying there. I tend to think that somebody took something out of context, but he wants to win, right? And his people are sold for him. The more articles I read about him, the more articles I read about his supporters, the more that I think people need to realize they're not going to vote for whoever, right? They're not going to. Some will because they like what Bernie's offering, but if he's not there, they're going to move on to somebody else because they can't stand the person inside of the White House. But a lot of them, if it isn't Bernie, it's nothing. That's it. If it's not Bernie, it's nothing. They are going to stay at home. And that is something that I think that people are going to step back and go, really? Yeah, really. That's it. They like Bernie. They like the brand of politics he brings. They like the promises he's making. Right? Here's the problem with when you make those kind of promises, though, is people get disillusioned fast when you can't deliver those kind of promises, when you can't cover every single person, when it finally ends up becoming a reality that all the things you want to give, it's going to cost far more, but you've got that power now. And now people are asking you, hey, you said you were going to do this, this, and this, and you're not doing this, this, and this. And we're pissed now. And you said it wasn't going to cost us anything more, and it is costing us more. And Bernie's going to find out that the co-equal branches, they like being co-equal branches, right? Every president says the same thing. Well, I didn't realize I didn't have that much power until I got in there. I thought I had more power, and then I found out I don't have that much power. So the executive orders become extremely important for a lot of them to get stuff done. And if you don't have everything, and that's the thing we talk about, that perfect storm, you need the perfect storm. And in your presidency, you hope you get it once, maybe twice at best, which is you have the House, you have the Senate, and of course, you're the president, whatever side you're on. And you will get a chance to ram something through, one, maybe two big things that you can get through. Our founding fathers wanted us to be in a situation where we negotiated better than we do now, but that it wasn't so skewed so one side can run roughshod over the other side, that there was at times gridlock to debate stuff and to be able to have these kind of battles. Not the political world that we have now. I don't think they foresaw this, but maybe some of them did. But Bernie would find that out. Nobody likes him. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show's your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at me. You can text the program as well. Again, today, the excitement of the impeachment begins. First few days going to be mostly the boring stuff.
The president's team says these rules will allow for a fair trial, while Democrats say they will prevent the American people from learning the full truth and amount to a cover-up. So here's how the Republican rules work. They will allow each side 24 hours over 2 days to make their opening statements, meaning senators here will have to sit through marathon 12-hour sessions back-to-back. It's part of the Republican strategy to move this trial along quickly.
Isn't it funny? So I'm up at like 2:33 in the morning of all my shows that I do, right? And a bunch of other stuff and another company. And they're like, well, they're going to have to sit through 12 hours. How many of you out there have days like that all the time, right? From the moment you get up to doing all of the other stuff. And they're like, well, here's the other thing. Don't complain, right? Don't complain to the American people. Oh my God, 12 out, 2 days. Oh my God. Don't complain to the American people. They don't want to hear it. Somebody out there today working on a roof, right? It's snowing somewhere. Somebody's got a leak somewhere. They're on a roof. And in the summer, it's 115 degrees and they're still on a roof doing stuff, breaking their back day to day, right? Towing cars, working retail jobs, having to work Don't whine that you have to sit somewhere for 12 hours to hear this crap. While it's boring, that's on you. You chose that world, right? You like the fiefdom and the cool stuff. This is getting in the way of your fancy dinners and your highballs. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at me. Lightstream. So behind us is the holidays. In front of us are bills. What kind of bills? You just paid for holidays. That's the kind of bills. They've arrived and you're looking there and you're saying to yourself, I'm paying how much? 20% on average is the APR. When it comes to interest rates here in America on credit cards. How about this? Pay off your credit card balances and save with a credit card consolidation loan from Lightstream. Here's the deal. Lightstream's amazing. Their loans have rates as low as 5.95% with auto pay. And I'm going to show you how you can get a discount even on top of that. Much lower than national average. No fees whatsoever. No prepayment penalties. The application's simple and easy. You can do it right from your phone. And again, you can save right now a special interest rate discount. Now, the only way to get this is to go to lightstream.com/Benson. That's LIGHTSTREAM.com/Benson. Subject to credit approval. Rate includes 0.50% auto pay discount. Terms and conditions apply. Offers subject to change without notice. All you have to do is visit lightstream.com/Benson for more information. At Chad Benson Show, Twitter, ChadBenson. Chad Benson Show.
The Chad Benson Show, the only place so far that the Mueller investigation hasn't deep probed for collusion.
Stay tuned.
This is Chad Benson.
This resolution even goes so far in another departure from the Clinton precedent to say they're not even going to admit the evidence that was received in the House. that they're going to even postpone the decision about whether any of the witness testimony will actually be part of the record.
They're not even inside. They're already arguing over this crap. It's about jockeying for position. You know, in a regular trial, right? Like, so one of the big things that's going on right now, so you got Weinstein, right? Obviously a scumbag. And they're trying to find jurors that really don't know too much about the story and can be as unbiased as possible in picking the jury. So these people come in essentially with a blank slate. I mean, it's hard to do, right? And it's not even that way here. I mean, you've got people who are giving answers and their thought on the person that's being tried. Some of them are running to be president of the United States and would have to run against him if they become president. Well, there's no conflict of interest there. I mean, that's insane. That's where we are, though. Nothing's going to change from any of this stuff. It is what it is, which is if you believe he's guilty and evil and bad, you still believe that, and no new information will ever change your mind about any of that stuff because you'll think it's all a cover-up. And on the other side, if you think he's innocent and he's done nothing wrong and this is a witch hunt, no new evidence is going to change your mind about any of that stuff. So why cover it 24/7 when we know what the outcome is going to be? Speaking of outcomes, the Royals, at least people that were kind of Royals but aren't kind of anymore, not happy totally with the deal.
The deal struck with the palace was not what the couple wanted.
Once Meghan and I were married, we were excited, we were hopeful, and we were here to serve. For those reasons, it brings me great sadness that it has come to this.
They can't use the Royal Highness title and will not support the Queen on official business. And a particular sting for a soldier proud of his service in Afghanistan, he must give up his honorary military ranks.
Yeah. And now they're asking the question over there in England, is Archie going to grow up with a Canadian accent? So you have somebody with an American accent, right? In Meghan. North American, but American, right? Kind of neutral. And then you'll have somebody who's got a British accent, obviously Harry. He's got an English accent. And then potentially, you're going to have somebody with an accent like this there for sure. And it's possible, but I doubt it, but you never know. How funny would that be there, eh? Oh, that's crazy, Chad. 323-538-2423. We were talking a little while ago about the dog Jubilee, who's the husky with the interesting eyes. And I was asking a couple of people around here, and they all said the same thing before I could even say it. Oh, if you had that dog, that's the perfect meme dog. Like, that'd be great. Like, that's the sad thing about that dog. As great and cool it would be. And if you've not seen Jubilee, we'll post a picture of Jubilee. But the owners apparently dropped it off. He's like a 4-year-old husky. It's a 4-year-old husky, and it's got a congenital defect that doesn't affect its health, but its eyelids, so it looks like it has googly eyes. And you start thinking to yourself about this entire thing, that people are running out nowadays looking for animals that will be great Instagram pets because it'll be better for them for a chance to make. They're looking for the next Grumpy Cat. Everybody's looking for the next Grumpy Cat. And Jubilee may be that. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Computer systems in your car, those things, man, I'm telling you guys, those things are so complicated, right? They're just insane. That's why you should get CarShield. CarShield's amazing. It will protect you from things like that computer system going haywire, right? Maybe you've got a problem with your transmission. If your car has 5,000, 150,000 miles on it, CarShield can give you the protection plan that you need to save yourself thousands and cover repairs. That includes the intricacies now of all this electronic stuff, right? As well as just the standard car. You get 24/7 roadside assistance, a rental car for free while your car's in the shop. And that shop, kids, is a shop that you choose. You pay CarShield a deductible, and they get them paid. That you don't have to front the money or any of that stuff. That's what's great. They pay them directly. Get covered today. Call them. Tell them what you're looking for. 800-CAR-6000, 800-CAR-6000. Mention code Benson or visit carshield.com, carshield.com. Use that code Benson to save you 10%. A deductible may apply. At Chad Benson Show, Twitter, ChadBenson. Impeachment's going to be interesting, but how interesting, and will it really change minds? I don't think so. Have yourself a good rest of your day. Go get some tacos. Night-night, Jack.
This is The Chad Benson Show.